Alright, well, why don't we make our second character of the evening then? I had a lot of fun building Nereot Bannister of the Bannister family, Pillars of the Community, one and all. Let's find out what our second Xanathar-themed character, or I guess Waterdeep-themed character will be. We have our random roll guide up. Let's give it a try. Those tunnels are where I learned what happened if you use Fireball in a small space. I remember those tunnels. Yep. You can look back and think fondly on those tunnels, X-Cat. And with a 51, this is going to be another male character. Let's roll a 9-sided die. 3. A halfling. And specifically, evens. A Lightfoot Halfling. Small size. Of the alignment, 8194. A chaotic evil character. Okay. Who is of level 40, level 10. 2 possible stat bumps, one at 4, one at 8. And both of them will be feats. So I guess we can explore some halfling racial feats as we're going on a Xanathar, on a Xanathar exploration. What's the largest playable race you know of? I think Furbolgs are described as physically the largest. Maybe Goliaths. Though they're still technically medium-sized. The game is really balanced for small and medium creatures. When you start getting to large PCs or tiny PCs, it can create some unaccounted for interactions. His background is going to be 12, a soldier. And particularly a soldier from one of the D8 origins. In this case, number 7. I don't know what 7 is, and we'll explore it when we get there. It's just a placeholder for right now. 2d8 for personality traits. Well, alright, so 8 and 8. So we're going to put 8 down for sure. 8 and 5. Now, if you roll doubles at home, maybe that is just a dominant personality, like very, very singularly focused. For purposes of what we do when we generate characters, I like having a couple more, lines in the sand in which we can create our arena of thought for our character to explore, exist inside of, and set some boundaries. 3d6 for the other aspects. 4, 4, and 3. Yeah, mounts, spell range. There you go, Technotron. The giant I mentioned was a large fire giant in our first campaign. It was our DM's first time being in charge of a game. We all kind of ended up OP and had some fun. The universe got exploded. If you had fun, then such is the power of D&D, where you can be a fickle god that ends realities as you know it. And at the end of the day, you go home and you say, you know what? I really enjoyed that, and I want to do it again. Okay. Now let's find out which class he's going to be. What chaotic evil halfling have we unleashed inside of Waterdeep? 8. A ranger. And in Xanathar's, not just a ranger, but Looks like there are there are three different options for rangers. Gloom Stalker, Horizon Walker, or Monster Slayer. Let's roll a D3 and find out which one he's going to be. 1. So he is going to be a Gloom Stalker. He's willing to hunt whatever he wants, huh, Shlomo? Truly the most dangerous game. Your group has a minor meta multiverse going on because of it. And you see, you play for so long and you develop all, this world or multiverse. And that's what I love about this game, XCat. So he's a former soldier turned into a Gloom Stalker ranger who is very impulsive and selfish. Okay, next up, we are going to determine his stats, his size and such. You need to work on your Null Ranger, the second class. Ah, yes. Yeah, your project is. I hope you've been getting some good feedback on that, and that we've helped to get you on a solid path, XCat. Oh, by the way, we're kind of in a part 3, because part 1 was, we're opening up some minis for folks. So here's 40 EXP for you all for making it so late into the broadcast, as a show of appreciation from me to you. Okay, so we have a halfling. They start at 2 feet 7 inches, and we're going to add 2d4 inches to his height. 3. 2 feet 10 inches of chaotic evil fury. We're going to take that same 3, multiply it by 1, and add it to 35. So he weighs 38 pounds. Exclamation point EXP, Ars Fantastica. Gotcha, XCat. You're welcome, Chaotic Blue. And of an age, let's see, at 61. We have a middle-aged halfling, ex-soldier, now turned kind of rogue, not like per class, but a Gloom Stalker. Now, for a halfling, middle age is column 4, right? And so we cross-reference that between 111 and 155. So this is going to be a D45. $29. Okay, so 139 years old. And that'll complete the random aspects of this character. Now we've cast our bones into the augury, and we need to determine what these placeholders mean. What is our character's character? What is his fortune? Why does he think the way that he does? What does he think? So let's pop over to the player's handbook and go to chat. Come on, class. Chapter 4 class. Do you have your PHBs? Open them to Chapter 4 class. Come on now. You should have your materials ready. Acolyte, Charlatan, Criminal. These are alphabetically listed. So let's go to S for Soldier. No parentheses. Yeah, ours. Everything's on fire. What's going on? Ours. My house is on fire because of what's happening. There you go. A Kobold Mage. Alright, normally, so exclamation point 1d20. If it says advantage or disadvantage, it's exclamation point 2d20. All right, let's find out what this 7 up here by soldier means. Oh, he was a standard bearer. So he held the flags during the march and was a really big target, by the way. So he's got to have some skill if he's lived this long as a standard bearer. Probably hit a weapon inside the shaft of the standard as he was carrying it. Thank you, Dark Wolf. Our background feature is military rank. You have military rank from your career as a soldier. That means if we're recognized, if our rank is recognized, we can get transportation, maybe some supplies, information, etc. and so forth. It's pretty handy as long as you're in friendly territory. All right, his personality, 8. I face problems head on. A simple, direct solution is the best path to success. And 5. I can stare down a hellhound without flinching. Obviously, he's not going to bulk at hunting down a person, or a kid, or a dog, or a monster, or a criminal, or whatever he finds fancy. And because he faces his problems head on, he's a very direct hunter, or like a ranger, for what he does. Now, how I consider alignment is the expression of your character. It's the outlet of your character. It's not a statistic, in my opinion. He can have good thoughts. He may very well go home and love sitting next to a warm fire and has a cat that he likes petting. And he might even give a gold piece to a church on the way home. But he expresses himself in an impulsive, selfish fashion, as per Chaotic Evil. His ideal is number 4. Independence. When people follow orders blindly, they embrace a kind of tyranny. Whoops. Ooh. We have 2 chaotic characters who I think both want to shake up the order inside of Waterdeep. Are you guys getting that feeling out there? I mean, guys, girls, etc. Very interesting so far. Also, we have a party of short stacks. I mean, such as 2 as a party. Bonds, number 4. I'll never forget the crushing defeat my company suffered or the enemies who dealt it. Ooh, he's got a grudge. Especially as the standard bearer. Let's check out his flaw. Number 3. I made a terrible mistake in battle. Or that in battle that cost many lives. And I would do anything to keep that mistake a secret. Anything, he says. Anything can mean a lot of things when you are a chaotic evil Gloom Stalker ranger. Maybe he tries to find the survivors of his company and ensures that they stay quiet about what happened on the battlefield. How do I tell if you have disadvantage? It tells you in the description, ours. So it says, a twig snaps, just a deer you hope, but then pounces an orc warband. Only a 12 or greater can defeat it. You attack with disadvantage, adding a +3 modifier. So the prompt will tell you how to roll the dice. Oh, you already got it. So it stops on a 15 and a 3. So ours, the 3 + 3 is 6, and unfortunately the orc warband gets ya. He lost a battle on 2 factors. Some stupid commander, and he dropped the banner in a critical moment. Oh, that's camera 2. Yeah, something happened, right? What if he feels shame to the point that he will silence people to keep others from talking about it? He could be very loyal. Just because you're chaotic evil, again, doesn't mean you don't have loyalties or friends or whatnot. He could be very loyal to the army, but that loyalty is driving him to this selfish end, right? Evil is selfish. To this selfish end that he will silence people to keep them from guessing at what happened. All right. We are going to get proficiency in athletics and intimidation. There we go. We'll have proficiency in some sort of gaming set. And vehicles land. Equipment. Insignia of rank. A trophy taken from... okay, so a trophy from an enemy. And why don't we have this be a trinket of some kind? Trinket number... And then we'll randomly roll what the trinket is. And this is what he took off of a dead enemy. And then we'll have a gaming set of some kind. Common clothies. And a belt pouch with 10 gapuz in it. A villain is just a victim whose story hasn't been told, says Shlomo. Feels bad, man. I will bring up some supporting evidence of that. In fact, I will show you. If it'll focus. Camera. 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 This is the only thing that's in... There we go. If you all want to know Strahd von Zarovich as a person who had to make choices, had to live a life before he was a vampire, don't spoil this if you haven't, if you're intending to play Curse of Strahd, don't spoil the story. If you've already played it or you don't really mind, get I Strahd. Buy it in physical, get it on Audible or whatever. Shlomo, this book does exactly what you talked about. Derek, sir, thank you for being a part of the stream as always. Have a good night, man. Yeah, exactly, Chaotic Blue. Like Maleficent. Eventually. Dun dun dun. All right, so this is who he is and how he thinks. Now we're going to go to halflings. I love this picture. I love her. I love her. She is so adorable. And she's playing her heart out. She's trying really hard. Okay, dexterity increases by 2. We are small, SMOL, small. Our base speed is 25, so 12, 12, and 0. We are lucky. Yes, we are. And on top of that, we're brave. You have advantage on saving throws versus being frightened. We also have Halfling Nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that's of a size larger than yours. Our languages are Common and Halfling. And our subrace as a Lightfoot brings our charisma up by 1. And we are naturally stealthy. You can attempt to hide even when you're obscured only by a creature that is one size larger than you. Oh, Chaotic got a last raspberry in on Derek. Now, let us leave. Let's go to Ranger. We are level 10. So this is the stuff we're going to get. Oh, I started filling in a non-caster, and Rangers are casters. I did it again. I bamboozled myself, everyone. And when we get to Ranger spells, look, I'll fix it. I'll fix it in post. I'll make an actual caster. I'm not going to worry too much about what spells he has anyway, but just realize that he does get 6 spells, and he can cast 4 first, 3 second, and 2 third. Does halfing language just use the first of every common word? It's kind of a... I mean, it's a relative of common. It uses the same alphabet and probably a lot of similar words, just differently. So it's sort of like how English is a Germanic language. Uses the same alphabet. I mean, maybe not the same accents. Oh, Shlomo, you just barely got that one in. Nice. Yeah, you just barely got... And that dog. That dog. Okay. We're a D10 hit die class, and we're level 10, so we have 10 D10 hit die that we can use to heal ourselves in between combats during rests. We are proficient with light armor, medium armor, and shields. Weapons, simple, and martial. No tool proficiencies. And then we choose 3 skills from animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. Can stare down a hellhound, independence. If he's independent, I think survival is going to be a big one for him. Never forget the crushing defeat my company suffered, or the misspelled enemies who dealt it. I made a terrible mistake that cost many lives. I'd do anything. He's probably putting in a little bit of wet work, so stealth is going to be important to him. And investigation to try and track down people who might know things that ought not know things. If you think he should be trained in different skills, shout him out. I'm willing to consider him. Just because I chose something... Oh, that reminds me. On our bard, we still have to... I mean, it's not huge, but we gotta give him 4 expertise. It's fine. We'll get to it. Oh no! Shlomo is a notorious named monster. Whoops. I have to work on my second... How I have the studio kind of set up is a little awkward. But, alright, I think that'll work. Sorry for bumping that. Hopefully it's not making you all dizzy or anything. Scale mail or leather armor? I think we're definitely going to be making a, I think we're making a Dex Ranger here. So we should probably go leather armor. 2 short swords are fine. Short swords are finesse weapons, so we can use Dex. So, short sword X2. A Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack? Probably a Dungeoneer's if this is kind of an urban environment. And then a longbow with a... Actually, so a quiver, and we can come up here. Arrows. We have 20 of them, and we've used 0. Favored enemy. Let's see. You choose 1 additional at 6th and 14th. So we're gonna get 2 favorite enemies by class, or we can choose 2 types of humanoids specifically to hunt down. If he was a soldier, he's probably good at killing people over other animals. And in that case, we have to determine what kind of humanoids is he good at hunting down. What was he fighting? What type of enemy do you think he was fighting? Or if he wasn't fighting them, you know, maybe being a standard bearer came before these, you know, this the proper ranger induction. Who did he learn to stalk? Who did he learn to hunt? Or if you want one of these to be a what, that's fine as well. Ars Fantastica is a WinRAR. Yes, indeed. Humans and tieflings? Alright, so because we can get 2 humanoids or 1 broad category, humans, tieflings. Now we can take another broad category, or we can take 2 different types of humanoids. And by the way, that will open up a language to learn of Infernal, since we know the language of a species we stalk. Or that we hunt, if it has one. Does he also hunt beasts as a broad category? Or more humanoids? Remember, humanoids could be, like goblins, orcs, gnolls, dwarves, elves. The nobility tend to be, what, elves? In Waterdeep? I believe so. I think humans and elves are the primary rulers. Hey, Zuler Pie, good to see you. Funny story, my bard killed someone with a joke. Your mom was so stupid, she climbed over a wall of force to see what was on the other side. Vicious mockery at its best. Gotcha, because it's a wall of force and you can see through it. Nice one, Shlomo. Elves and... Ooh, how about Dragonborn? Maybe there's not a lot of Dragonborn. I don't know. Elves and... orcs? Were they fighting orcs? What else were they fighting? Orcs might work. We'll take that as a suggestion. Though, of the two, because you only get one language, even if you choose two humanoids, probably is going to pick up Elvish or Elven, because that's going to be in a lot more use in Waterdeep. Drow, we got that covered, Chaotic. Unless we say, well, I don't know, I guess that could open up instead of elves. Or if we go elves and drow, that could open up deep speech. Something like that. I think, technically, drow fall under elf, as per this. Alright, we are also going to get Natural Explorer. And this gives us a lot of advantages when traipsing through various terrain. We'll choose an additional favorite terrain at 6th and 10th. And so we're going to get level 1, 6, and 10. Now, there are 8 different types of terrain, and so why don't we roll randomly, and we'll see where he's gone, where he's learned to survive, to hone his skills. 3d8. Roll them. 5, 6, and 1. So, on his life's journey, because the book does encourage you, hey, as you're traveling through and you're leveling up and you're having a campaign, the places you're traveling through, you should probably take as a natural explorer area. So this is his journey. 5, 6, and 1. In fact, we can reference that over here. For rangers, here's our 8. So 5 is grasslands. 6 is mountains. And 1 is Arctic. There we go. And here I have my claw, because my little kitty brought back something that she wants me to throw for fetch. Got there. Ready? Nope, that's not it. Hey, what's this? Her eyes are so big. Woo, go get it. Okay. Now we're going to get a fighting style. There are 4, so I'm going to roll a d4. And we got number 4, two weapon fighting it is. We're going to put those short swords to use, or at least a short sword and a dagger. Which by level, he doesn't get it starting. I'm sure by level 10 he could pick up a dagger somewhere. There you go. Go get it. Go on get, you varmint. Go on get. All right, we do get spell casting. I'm gonna fix it in post. I'm gonna put it on the right sheet. We won't worry about that right now. Although wisdom is going to be important for a spellcaster. If we want to make him very wise, he doesn't have to be. It might help, though. All right, Ranger Archetype. We're not going to worry about that because that's not in the player's handbook. A Gloom Stalker is going to be in Xanathar's. So now we're going to come down and we're going to get Primeval Awareness. You can spend one Ranger spell slot to focus your awareness on the region around you. And it's kind of like a radar sweep of different information that we can pick up. ASIs, we will get an extra attack. We'll then get Land's Stride. Moving through non-magical difficult terrain costs you no extra movement. And then at 10th level, our level at which we're generating this character, Hide in Plain Sight. By the way, especially being a Lightfoot Halfling, we have stealth and hiding and dex for days. This is a vicious little knee stabber or an ankle biter or whatever. Yeah, whew. All right, so this is pure Ranger, PHB Ranger. We haven't gone into the archetype of the of it yet because again, that is in the Xanathar supplement that we have. Go get it. That said, the Gloom Stalker Ranger is on page 41. And because Xanathar's does give these fun little parts of backstory, view of the world on a D6. 1. Towns and cities are the best places for those who can't survive on their own. Homeland. D6. 4. You dwelled on the edge of a swamp in an area imperiled by land creatures as well as aquatic ones. Now, we have grasslands as our primary as a ranger. But if our homeland, maybe when we were young we grew up on a swamp, and that's what got us interested in nature. But when we joined the military to be a soldier, we trained in the grasslands. And so we can keep swamp. That's what ignited our interest as a character. But we didn't really do much more than literally muck about in the swamp. And maybe we'll return someday, but we have some work to do first. Get out of my swamp. It's all ogre now. Sworn enemy. D6. 3. You bear no enmity toward your foe. You stalk such creatures as a hunter tracks down a wild animal. So this is further enforcing his detachment from morality. His detachment from, look, we're all humanoids here. What are you doing? No. You are an animal I'm tracking. I'm treating you as I would hunt a deer. If not for sport, then just for survival. Maybe Evil Ogre didn't allow him to enter the swamp. Oh, that's true, Shlomo. So he always lived on the edge of the swamp, and he never really got to go in. And he wants to someday. I don't know where it is. You can hunch down and look at me all you want. I don't know where's your ring. I'm trying to train her when I say, where's your ring? I'm making like a ring to see if I can get her to actually go fetch the ring initially to start the game. Where's your ring? I don't know. Alright, Gloom Stalker. Gloom Stalkers are at home in the darkest places, deep under the earth in gloomy alleyways, in primeval forests, and wherever else the light dims. Most folk enter such places with trepidation, but a Gloom Stalker ventures boldly into the darkness, seeking to ambush threats before they can reach the broader world. Such rangers are often found in the Underdark, but they will go any place where evil lurks in the shadows, even if they're evil themselves. Okay. So, we are going to get some special Gloom Stalker spells that we can consider. I'm not worried about magic just yet. That's one of the last things we do, and given my oopsie doodle, I don't have a spell section on this particular sheet. Let's come up to Archetype. Dread Ambusher. You can give yourself a bonus to your initiative rolls equal to your wisdom modifier. Hey, alright. At the start of your first turn of each combat, your walking speed increases by 10 feet, which lasts until the end of that turn. If you take the attack action on that turn, you can make one additional weapon attack as part of that action. If the attack hits, the target takes an extra 1d8 damage of the weapon's damage type. We will also then receive Umbral Sight. You gain Dark Vision. Hey, that's pretty good for a halfling. Dark Vision up to 60 feet. And if you already have it, it increases by 30. You are also adept at evading creatures that rely on Dark Vision. While in darkness, you are invisible to any creature that relies on Dark Vision to see you in that darkness. Whew. Making them a little scary, huh? At level 7, we get Iron Mind. You honed your ability to resist the mind-altering powers of your prey. You gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. There we go. If you already have this proficiency, you instead gain proficiency in intelligence or charisma, your choice. And we're just shy of getting Stalker's Flurry. And Shadowy Dodge after. Which, by the way, Strength and Dex. There we go. Yeah, he might have joined the military to get away. It could have been depressing for him. Maybe there's a wider world out there other than the mud and the skeeters and the cattails and finding dead bodies and poking them with a stick, because that's the entertainment. Maybe for him it was a little bit more entertaining than it should have been. All right. We have background, we have race, we have class, and we have archetype. Before we do our feats, or before we do our standard array, let's look at feats, because those can influence our scores as well. And in Xanathar's guide, you'll notice, dun 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 dun, there is a section here for feats. Once I find it. Here we go, racial feats on page 73. Alright, halflings, bountiful luck, second chance, squat nimbleness, and prodigy. Let's take a look at some of these. Maybe we'll take both because we want to feature Xanathar's content. Bountiful luck. Your people have extraordinary luck, which you have learned to mystically lend to your companions when you see them falter. You're not sure how you do it, you just wish it and it happens. Surely a sign of fortune's favor. I don't know if he's that social to share his luck. Second chance is the next one here. Increase your dex, con, or charisma by 1. When a creature you see hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to force that creature to reroll. Second chance sounds pretty good. Squat nimbleness, a dwarf or a small race. You're uncommonly nimble. Increase your strength or dex score by 1. Increase your walking speed by 5. You gain proficiency in the acrobatics or athletics skill of your choice, and you have advantage on any strength, athletics, or dexterity. Ooh, that's a really good one too for him. And what's the last one? Oh no, squat nimble. There's only the 3. All right, second chance and squat nimbleness, I think, are what he's getting here. So let's give him second chance and squat nimbleness. So first things first, increase dex or whatever by 1. So we're going to now add a 3. And then we can force a reroll if we were to be hit. Next up, squat nimbleness. We're going to increase our dexterity again. We increase our speed by 5, so he's 30, 15, 15, 0. Remember, we get that 10 on our first turn from Gloom Stalker. And we gain proficiency in acrobatics or athletics. Well, we already have athletics, so now we're going to get acrobatics. And we have advantage on any strength, athletics, or acrobatics checks you make to escape from being grappled. Ath/acro for advantages over here. Yeah, Zulurpai. I would hate to make this little guy angry. Seriously. Alright, now that we have that, and remember, we took our feats instead of full ability score improvements, ASIs or stat bumps, as they're called. So, we have our 4 to dex, but everything else is gonna be as we put it down in here, right? So if we go, let's say 15 dex, 14 whiz, 13 strength, 13 charisma, his strength is 12, 15, 14, 13, 12. Average constitution and intelligence. Maybe intelligence is his dump stat. That said, it means that he's not proficient. He's not good at broad knowledge, but because he's proficient at investigation, he's not going to be bad at it, even if he's not book learned in other ways. Would he consider being called little guy insulting? Maybe you just did make him angry. Oh, X-Cat, no. No, porque? That's going to pump his dex up to 19. And his charisma is going to pop up to 14 from his racial. 1, 4, 0, -1, 2, and 2. At level 10, our proficiency bonus is 4. So we have a 5 strength save. And we have 5 athletics. 8 dex, 8 acro, 8 stealth, and 4 sleight of hand. Con is 0. With the exception of investigation at +3, everything else I'm going to very discreetly copy and paste this -1. Because we don't want to make him upset. Wisdom is 6. Survival is 6. This is a good case study, by the way. You don't have to just maximize your skills across the board, right? You can have a bad intelligence, but be good at one particular skill in the breadth of intelligence. Don't be afraid to do that with your characters. Charisma is 6 down the line, except intimidation. Whoops, I'm sorry. Is 6 intimidation and is 2 down the line. I reversed that. Now that we have this, we're wearing leather armor plus, so that's 11 plus 4, that's a 15 armor class. Our initiative is normally a dex check. However, because of our Gloom Stalker, we get to add wisdom. And so it's actually going to be a +6. I'll pay for the box once I hear from Diadems if he wants to trade for Dritz. Roll stealth check to hide copy pasting the 1. At first level, you get your maximum hit points per your hit die. So 10 plus, for the 9 other levels, half plus 1. So half of 10 is 5 plus 1 is 6. Then for every other, not every other, but for all levels, so all 10, you get a bonus HP of your Constitution modifier. That's going to be easy because 10 times 0 is just that, is 0. 54 plus 10 is 64 hit points at level 10. Passive perception is going to be 12. 10 plus your perception modifier. So there we go. Now, longbows and short swords can have dexterity as their 2-hit calculation, and a writer on their damage as bonus damage. So short swords are going to be +8, as well as longbows +8 to hit. Whoops. The way this is set up, you can go like magic, talking, bow of whatever between the weapons. 1d6 plus 4 piercing. 1d8 plus 4 piercing. There we go. You want this? You can't scratch my chair and leave when I'm... here's the ring. You ready? Go get it. All right. He has earned himself a name, if any of you have thought up of a name of this character. And besides choosing the particular spells, which we can consider the Gloom Stalker spell suite and others, we have a finished character. He has motivation, he has reason, he has a behavior. He has some troubles. This is a troubled character as well. And maybe kind of going on what Shlomo was talking about earlier, this would be a villain. Except you, as the player, are going to tell this character's story. You, as a player, might redeem this character or condemn this character into an ever-darkening spiral of madness, guilt, murder, paranoia. What will you do with this character? If you were piloting him, what would you like to do? How would you handle this character? Dark Wolf, you want to name him Kersh? Nickname Tanks as Zulurpai? Hey, Nebraska Dave, good to see ya. Quinta Daish as his name. So let's take some of the suggestions and see if we can pineapple pen them. Kersh Daish as his name. And he's known as the Tank. Kersh the Tank Daish. How's that? Oh, the trinket he won off of a bested soldier that he fought while he was in the army. Chapter 5, equipment. This is going to flash a little bit, so hang on. Here we go. Percentile. Here we are. Kersh Dainta. XCat, do you like that? Trinket number 15. This is what he won as a trophy off of a soldier that he slayed. A bright green feather. That could be a calling card. That could be his mark. How would he incorporate his trinket into who he is and what he does? You like Kersh Dainta? A bright green feather is his trinket. What could that mean? What could that imply? What significance would such a thing have? This is your trinket. Now go get it. There she goes. Dainta mess with him, says XCat. Rutherford is IP for intellectual property. Anyway, Rutherford, welcome. Thank you for joining us as we're sort of on the tail end of making this special Xanathar flavored ranger. We went with a Gloom Stalker. Thank you for finding us. Do you have a lot of D&D experience? How did you come across us? What got you to click on the channel? Because look, sometimes, and I'll say guilty, not that it's a shame. We're all guilty of looking at a channel and going, I don't know if I should take a chance on them. What's your story, Rutherford? Oh, TJ Perkins, thank you very much for the YouTube subscription. It should be IP or my initials. You just saw it on the D&D stream page, Rutherford? Rutherford, well, you know what? Here, you could be intellectual property. Rutherford, IP. I mean, it's not IPO, so it can't be an initial public offering. But still. IP, Rutherford, welcome. Thank you for being a part of us and for taking that chance on clicking on the channel. Ruther for dip. Hands chips. I've been playing D&D for a few years now, just starting to get into the DM space. Well, hey, I think you found a good group for that. We do primarily a lot of workshop activity, a lot of mental exercises. We do answer questions. If you have any blind questions, or if you've encountered a particular conundrum at your tabletop as a PC or a DM, let's help you out. In fact, Rutherford, are we an or an oo? It's like Roosevelt or Roosevelt. If you want to join us as well, when I'm not broadcasting, you can hang out in our Discord. We keep it safe for work, like no worse than PG-13. We have a mentor network. We have a workshop area if you need some help on something. Nebraska Dave says, I'm pondering finally breaking down and trying out Adventurers League in 3 weeks. Now, would you be running for your group, or is there a local store that you're going to go and run those games at as a sort of as an offered service, Dave? Zulurpai, on last week's dog PCs, did they have their own secret language? I was going to suggest Barkish for its name. I'm sure we could assign something like that, Zulurpai, yeah. Look, each of the dogs, I think, got 3 languages that they could understand. I don't see why we couldn't make Barkish, or Barkin unto me, Zulurpai, its own language that just the dogs could speak to each other. Oh, at a local convention. Well, look, if you go, Dave, all right, so a couple considerations. Adventures League, it can very much be for first-time players. If it's at a convention, and I'm not saying this in a disparaging fashion, you'll probably have people who are going to address the situation mechanically as per their numbers, as their race in race, class, and background. As it's a very balanced, contained adventure that does have this sort of history of your character that's built and tracked. So many people might approach this from a mechanical point of view, whereas if you run it at home, or you run it if not at your dinner table, you run it at your friendly local game store, you might have more people who are just doing it for funsies, and they don't have an optimal character or anything along those lines. Oh, I know, I used to be a GM. Oh, for the RPG. That's right. Nebraska Dave, shame on me. I should have remembered that. I remember you did the activity, you had the business for the LARP. But shame on me. I should have known that as well. Oh, and you wrote mod. That's right. Rutherford, the reason why I'm kind of huffing and puffing is, as much we get a lot of people who hang out here in the channel, and I do my best to try and remember aspects of each of you, at least who are kind of active here. If you're lurking, I love you. You can continue to lurk. I hope you're having fun and laughing or doing whatever you're doing. But for those of you who are active on Discord or in chat here, I try and remember at least a couple things about you, because I like getting to know you. I like learning about the world around you and the things that you've seen or done, because I may never have those opportunities. And so you, in a sense, are helping to enrich me. And so it's an honest curiosity. So that's why I felt kind of bad, because Dave has a very storied experience with role-playing. And I should have remembered that. Rutherford, well, that's right, Shlomo. Matt, remember that? Yes. Who needs Pepperidge Farm? So this is the salami and cheese that I sling on the channel, right? Maddie remembers. Do you remember that time that we pulled a red dragon from the box? Maddie remembers. The thing is, luckily, Omaha is a fantastic group for role-playing, but I haven't gone to this convention in over 10 years. I think the last time I really went was before 2008. If you go, Dave, I would love to hear stories of your time there, as a guest or a participant or as a DM. Ars Fantastica, I foresee a triumphant return. Remember when there's only one camera? That's right. Because, look, for those of you who've come aboard, you've subscribed, or you're participating in the mini fundraiser and such down here, we only had one camera. we only had not a lot of other things. And I hope that the growth in the channel has been clear and obvious, just as I run my own game store. You know, I haven't been doing it for as long without making sure that you all know and see. I realize you could be anywhere else, watching in any other channel, participating in other hobbies, and yet you're here. And pardon my 18th century minor speak, I darn tootin' respect the fact that you're choosing to be here, to hang out, to lurk, to chat, to follow, to subscribe, to participate in the minis. All of that is optional, and it shows that you trust me and you enjoy the community and the medium for who I am, to allow you to meet others who do the same thing. Remember when Dark Wolf wooed? The neighbors remember. That's right. It's almost 4 a.m. and Dark Wolf is out over here wooing in the chat. Dave says, but your description of games at conventions, especially the national groups like Pathfinder Society, you don't know what you are going to get for fellow players, and you also don't know what you're going to get for a GM. Yeah, you might have a very kind of loosey-goosey, we play for fun group, or you can have the we treat this like a job. I fastidiously mark every single item and number, and I will min-max my character. I will fish for advantage at every opportunity. I will be a hard rules lawyer. You could get those. Now, does that mean they're bad people? Not necessarily. That's just how they're approaching that game. They might, which is why patience is necessary. They might come from a background where that's their gaming group. They're kicking the door, kill the monster, dungeon crawling power gamers. And I'm not saying that with disrespect, because that's a play style. Then you can have people like me who are just, loosey-goosey, big old DM hippie, yeah, be creative, there's not really form or structure here, man. Just, come up with an idea. Like, touch the multiverse, but not with your fingers. I was a GM for an adventure at a convention back in the 90s, and no joke, the players were a cop I used to run afoul of and his 3 kids. It turned out to be one of the best convention experiences I ever had. So, were you... I'm just imagining you, ours is like the town rapscallion. It's sort of the Lupin, and you have a Zenigata chasing after you all over your town. I hope it was fun, and you guys were able to kind of put the past behind you. Chaotic, I found your store, and Facebook, Google Maps says, yeah. There you go, Chaotic. It's pretty straight down the turnpike or the highway, too. Dave, but the other thing about convention games, it's the best place to find a new gaming group if you're not from the area originally. Yes. Anything that I said about convention groups and such, I'm not saying that to scare you or to think that a bunch of, power gaming bullies go to conventions. That's not necessarily the case. There might be a few, but trust the DM at the table to handle it. You go for your reasons, and you have fun at them. You did put the past behind you because of D&D. Yes, exactly. Ours, when I have, at the store, when I have 15-year-olds sitting across from 45-year-olds, and they're treating each other as peers, as respected peers in a game of Magic or D&D or something. When I have a devout Catholic, when I have an avowed atheist that are sitting down in a game and both of them are invoking a pantheon of gods for miracles and blessings, that says something, right? That we can find common ground, that we are still all the same people, just of different backgrounds and makes and models. I love that stuff. And again, not in the touchy-feely, everyone gets a trophy kind of way. No, that's hollow. I don't believe in that, and I don't support that kind of coddling. But in the authentic, we're individual human beings who are willfully interacting with each other and doing so, in a mutually productive and voluntary fashion. It's amazing what happens when you let people unleash their creativity like that. Shlomo, what do you do outside of fight? Sleep. What do you do for fun? If you want to rest, sleep. What do you love to sleep? No. What do you want to do in life? Nothing. Why do you go on adventure? Kill evil. Rutherford, where are you from? I live in Chicago. Ah, okay, so you're about 6 hours to the west, straight down I-90. I'm in Sandusky, Ohio, Rutherford, or a lot of people just call it Cedar Point. You've probably heard of at least the amusement park. The couple times that I've driven, I've had the luxury of driving around Chicago. I've learned that you pay several tolls for driving around the city, let alone through it. And interestingly enough, at the toll booths, there are McDonald's in the middle of the highway that you can stop and eat at. I found that very unique. One of my pirate campaign players lives outside of Akron. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So Akron's just about an hour and a half southeast.